Have you ever wondered why the most successful people rarely share their full story? Why is silence often your greatest strength? Think about it. Have you ever opened up too much, only to be met with skeptical eyes, unfair comparisons, or worse, disappointment? There's a moment when your own story, if told too soon or to the wrong people, can turn against you. The real secret isn't in telling everything. It's in knowing when to stay silent and letting your actions speak louder than your words. Don't let your story become a weapon that others can use against you. Protect your dreams. Guard your journey. Because silence, when used with intention, is not weakness, it's power. Let's explore why it's essential to keep a part of your life to yourself, and how this quiet discipline can bring you unimaginable strength. Keep watching. These next few minutes might just change your life. Today, I want to talk about something important, something many of you are doing without realizing the hidden danger in it. It's the habit of telling others about every plan you have. There's a common mistake people make, a habit that seems harmless, even comforting. It's the impulse to share your plans with others. You come up with a new idea. You're excited. You post a status. Hey guys, I'm starting a new business, wish me luck. You tell your best friend, your neighbor, your coworkers, even the acquaintance you only see at church once a week. You don't think it will impact the outcome. But the truth is, it might be the very thing holding you back. Denzel Washington, a man who has inspired millions through his life and his journey through adversity, once said, "Some people will never see your vision because it wasn't given to them. It was given to you." He understood something profound. Not everyone is meant to understand your vision. And because of that, not everyone will support it or even respect it. Think of your dream like a seed. When you plant in the soil, you don't dig it up every day to show people what you planted. You leave it buried. You water it. You give it sunlight. You give it time. And you trust that one day it will grow into something strong. Your plans are just like that. They need room to grow, not a stage to perform on. Denzel wasn't just an actor with 2 Oscars. He became a symbol of quiet discipline, of inner strength forged through hardship. Throughout his career, he didn't shout for attention. He didn't boast. But every role he played left an unforgettable mark. Take his character in the Book of Eli, a man on a sacred mission, crossing desolate lands in silence. He was unwavering, untouched by praise or criticism. That wasn't just a role. It was a metaphor for the quiet journeys many of us walk in a chaotic world, staying silent, staying focused, and moving forward without noise. The world is loud. Everyone wants to talk. Everyone wants to be seen. But it's in the silence that greatness is built. Don't talk about it. Be about it. That's Denzel's mantra. Simple, but powerful. Don't talk about what you're going to do. Become the person who does it. Older folks, those who've lived through it all, understand that silence isn't weakness. It's strength. You don't need applause. You don't need validation. Because when you truly accomplish something, the results will speak for themselves. We've seen this in the giants of the 20th century. Steve Jobs didn't talk about the iPhone before it launched. He worked in silence and let the product speak. Or Muhammad Ali. He called himself the greatest, but people didn't believe it because of what he said. They believed it because of what he did in the ring. That was the silence of action. If you're starting something new, whether it's a small project, a new hobby, or a journey of personal transformation, protect it like a fragile flame in the wind. Keep it close. Nurture it in silence. And when the time is right, the world won't be able to ignore it. Denzel Washington once said, "Dreams without goals are just dreams." And to turn those dreams into reality, the first thing you need to do isn't telling the world. It's doing the work, step by step, in silence. And once we understand the power of silence, we need to dig even deeper into a far more subtle enemy. One that kills action quietly. The thrill of excitement before you ever begin. When he was young, Denzel Washington fell into that trap too. Like so many passionate young people, he carried a fire inside him. But instead of using that fire to light his path, he wasted it in endless conversations. He and his friends would sit for hours, talking about their dreams, making movies, writing scripts, creating masterpieces that would change the film industry. Their eyes lit up. They could almost hear the applause, see themselves on the red carpet, golden Oscar in hand. But when the conversation ended and the lights went out, there was only silence. No one wrote a script. No one made a plan. No one started. Everything stayed in the realm of dreams, like millions of other dreams that fade before they ever take shape. Here's the problem. Every time Denzel talked about his ideas, he felt like he'd already done something big. The praise, the excitement, the wow, that sounds amazing. It was a fake reward, like eating cake before the race even begins. It made him feel full. And when you're full, you're no longer hungry. And without hunger, there's no action. It's like Mark Twain once wrote, with sharp wit and painful truth, action speaks louder than words, but not nearly as often. Action carries the weight. But unfortunately, it shows up far less than words. Denzel used to think excitement was the fuel for success. But excitement is just a flash, bright then gone. Real action is a current beneath the surface, steady, silent, unstoppable. He realized, the more you talk about what you haven't done, the more likely you are to lose the hunger to actually do it. The more excited you are in conversation, the more quietly procrastination creeps in. Think back to the Shawshank Redemption. Andy Dufresne, a man wrongly imprisoned, spent 19 years silently digging a tunnel, never telling a soul. No noise, no boasting, just action, patience, and faith. In the end, he walked into the light, free, leaving behind an entire system that thought he could never escape. Denzel Washington, through many stumbles, came to understand one simple truth. Talking is easy, doing is hard. And it is in that difficulty where the true difference lies between dreamers and builders. He began to change. He stopped sharing every plan with his friends. He no longer let that fleeting feeling of "I've done something" fool his mind. He learned to keep the fire burning quietly, not to show off, but to forge inner strength day by day, hour by hour, step by step. There was a time he shared a quote that left people thinking, don't just aspire to make a living, aspire to make a difference. And if you want to make a difference, you need to act, not talk about it. Since then, every project he touched, every film, every role became the result of a long, silent journey of action. Not tweets, not behind-the-scenes photos blasted on social media before the film was even finished, but months of commitment to the script, deep character study, relentless practice. If you're in your 60s, chances are you've seen enough people who talk a good game, but never actually do anything. Maybe you've even been there yourself. Had big dreams, bold plans, powerful intentions, and now looking back, all that remains is the unfinished memory of what could have been. But remember this, it's never too late to begin. Excitement may be like a passing breeze, but action, no matter how small, always leaves a trace. Start with the smallest step. Don't tell anyone. Just do it, quietly, like Denzel did, like Andy, chipping away, silently, in the Shawshank Redemption, like the masters of art, the inventors, the mothers and fathers, those who let their actions speak louder than their words. And one day, when you've walked far enough, you'll realize silence is strength. And action, it is the true voice of those who wish to leave a mark. While initial excitement can derail action, oversharing your dreams can kill your vision entirely. That was the next lesson Denzel learned along his journey. One of the most common mistakes people make when starting something new, whether it's a film, a book, a business, or even just a lifestyle change, is telling their story to too many people. Why is that a mistake? Because when you invite too many people into your dream, you also open the door to a flood of conflicting opinions. And suddenly, instead of moving forward, you're stuck in confusion. Everyone has a suggestion. Every suggestion pulls you in a different direction. And nothing is clear except the chaos in your own mind. Denzel once described this situation with a strikingly accurate image from everyday life. Too many cooks spoil the broth. A good soup requires finesse, not 100 hands in the pot. When he was still a young director, he fell into that trap himself. Lacking experience and confidence, he listened to everyone, even those who'd never stepped behind camera. They gave him feedback on everything: what genre to shoot, where to film, who to cast, even whether he should change his filmmaking style altogether. At first, he thought, the more input, the better. But the more he listened, the more he lost his way. That unique voice, the essence that made Denzel, began to blur. He no longer knew where he was headed or why. The original dream faded beneath the heavy fog of other people's expectations. That's when he realized something crucial. Not everyone deserves a voice in your journey. A famous line from The Godfather says, "A man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man." But if you shift the context, it can also mean this: a person who doesn't live fully with their own purpose and responsibility can never truly be themselves. Living in the noise of others is borrowed living. It's trading your soul for surface-level approval. Denzel learned how to distinguish between valuable advice and distracting noise. He started to listen selectively to those who had walked the path he was on, not those who stood on the sidelines and judged. Most importantly, he learned to come back to himself, to that quiet intuition, that inner whisper the modern world often drowns out. Because no one but you knows what truly lights a fire in your heart. No one but you can see the vision you're walking toward. This isn't advice to become stubborn or reject all help. No, Denzel was never the kind of man who shut the door on learning. But he understood that at certain moments, you have to stop, not to gather more opinions, but to reconnect with your original vision, to remember why you started, and above all, to never forget, every dream has a soul, and you are the only one qualified to protect it from distortion. If you're not careful, you'll become like a boat lost in the ocean with everyone trying to steer, one pulling north, another pushing west, while you, the only one who ever glimpsed the light on the distant shore, get dragged off your course. Denzel believes your life will never be the same once you learn to protect your peace. And that peace sometimes comes from knowing when to stop sharing and when to fall silent and listen to your own heart. But it's not just outside opinions that can lead us astray. Denzel once said there's an even subtler enemy: the doubtful gaze of those closest to us. He recalled moments when he eagerly shared his plans with friends, acquaintances, even family. But instead of support, what he received were puzzled looks, half smiles, and carefully phrased doubts. "Are you sure? That's risky. Do you really think you can do it?" Those words weren't loud. They weren't openly critical, but they were sharp, like needles, quietly pricking the armor of confidence he had painstakingly built. They weren't rejections, but they weren't encouragement either. They were seeds of doubt, planted silently, growing roots in sleepless nights and moments of weakness. And then Denzel understood. Not everyone is truly happy for your success. Not because they're malicious. Often, it's the ones closest to us who carry an unconscious envy. The kind that arises when they see you daring to live out something they once dreamed of but never pursued. They don't mean to sabotage you, but they don't believe in you either. And that disbelief, no matter how gently spoken, can shake the very foundation of your inner belief. Like that iconic line from The Godfather, "Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer." But real life is far more complicated. Enemies don't always wear black hats, and friends aren't always standing in your corner. Sometimes, the ones who love us most are the ones who make us question ourselves. Not because they mean to, but because they can't comprehend the fire burning inside us. Denzel wasn't bitter. He didn't harbor resentment. Instead, he learned how to reset the distance. He understood that in order to protect the passion within, sometimes you have to shield it from the cold winds of doubt. Not to shut people out, but to guard the path you're walking. It's like a builder laying the foundation for a home. You can't just invite anyone onto the construction site. And you certainly can't let the sound of criticism drown out the rhythm of your hammer. For Denzel, faith was the first layer of cement. If that cracks, nothing else will stand firm upon it. One of the lessons he often shares is this: don't let someone else's insecurity become the seed of your own self-doubt. Sometimes, people don't doubt you because you're weak. They doubt you because your courage confronts the truth they're afraid to face. that you dare to do what they never had the guts to try. From those experiences, Denzel formed a clear life principle. Dreams must be protected, like a seedling in the middle of a storm. Not everyone should be invited into the room where your dreams are being born. Some people are better kept outside, not because they're malicious, but because they won't understand. They can't see what you see. They can't hear the calling that echoes inside your heart. If you're not careful, you'll start to believe you're not good enough, that your path is the wrong one. And here's the most painful part. You won't give up because you failed. You'll give up because you were convinced that you would. Denzel knew that feeling all too well. He, too, nearly lost himself in the shadow of doubting eyes. But he stood back up, raised his head, and kept walking. He chose to trust his inner vision over the noise of outside fear. He chose distance over dissonance. He chose to protect the soil where his dreams were planted. And he chose to build upon it a legacy the world could never ignore. Once he realized not everyone was meant to walk beside him on the road to his dream, Denzel didn't fight back with arguments or explanations. He didn't waste time convincing non-believers. Instead, he chose a quieter path, one far more powerful: silence and action. No debate, no justification, no effort to make others see what only he could see. He let the world doubt while he got to work. Denzel poured himself into every role, every scene. He reread scripts dozens of times, studied every shade of character, every small detail that audiences often miss. For him, silence wasn't weakness, it was strategy. A purposeful silence that saved its voice for the final result. And then the miracle happened. When the film premiered, when the role unfolded on screen, the world went still. The skeptics, the critics, all they could do was gasp. How did you do that? Denzel didn't need to answer. He simply smiled, because the answer was in what he did, not what he said. That's the power of silent action. Don't just aspire to make a living, aspire to make a difference. He didn't just say it, he lived it. He let passion be the compass, discipline be the map, and patience pave the road. His journey calls to mind Forrest Gump, the quiet man who never raised his voice, never shouted about greatness. But by simply putting one foot in front of the other, day by day, he ran across America and left an entire nation watching in awe. True greatness isn't in words, it's in what you do. And the truth is, action doesn't need to be loud. Sometimes the most extraordinary things are born in silence. Denzel believes that results are irrefutable proof. He doesn't argue with doubters, because they don't need to be persuaded with words. They'll be convinced by the truth. Like a sculptor who doesn't describe what the statue will become. He just keeps chiseling. And when the work is finished, people will see, and they'll understand. No introduction necessary. This isn't just a philosophy Denzel talks about. It's the way he's lived from the very beginning. From the day he stepped into Hollywood, a place of brutal competition, where the voice of a black man often goes unheard, he never demanded privilege. He never complained about injustice. He just put his head down and worked harder than anyone else. And when the opportunity came, he was ready. Success leaves clues. And the clearest clue is found in consistency, in the quiet, relentless pursuit of greatness. People often say, if you're good, let others speak for you. But Denzel goes further. He lets the work itself speak. Not everyone can shout to prove their worth, but anyone can show up every day, every hour, and build something meaningful. And when it becomes strong enough, beautiful enough, undeniable enough, it will speak louder than any marketing ever could. If there's one lesson to pass on to the next generation, it might be this: don't rush to prove yourself. Stay the course. Stay focused. Let your actions write your story. No one is so strong that they can weather every storm alone. Not even Denzel, the man who chose the silent path, was immune to moments of vulnerability. There were times when he needed a shoulder to lean on, a word of advice at the right moment, or simply someone to believe in him when he was still unsure of himself. But he didn't share with everyone. He didn't lay his dreams before those who only knew how to doubt. He didn't seek counsel from people who had never walked the road he was on. Denzel understood a truth so simple, yet so often forgotten. You don't need to tell your story to everyone. You just need to tell it to the right one. The problem is, when people face hardship, they often turn to those closest to them, those they trust, but who may not truly understand. They might love you, but they don't believe you're capable of doing something extraordinary. And if you keep surrounding yourself with advice lacking wisdom, perspective, or genuine encouragement, it's like pouring cold water over a fire that's just beginning to burn inside you. Denzel was different. He was intentional about who he confided in. He kept a small circle of close friends, people who didn't need to know every line of the script or every scene of the film, but who carried within them an unwavering belief. If anyone could do it, it's Denzel. That alone was enough to keep him going. On the darkest days, when failure threatened to crush his faith, it was that unconditional belief that helped him rise again. Someone once asked, "How do you know if you've chosen the right person to share your journey with?" Denzel smiled and quoted the late President Ronald Reagan. "Surround yourself with the best people you can find, delegate authority, and don't interfere." The right people don't try to control you. They don't make you feel small. They don't bombard you with, "When will it be done?" or "Are you sure it's going to work?" They stand behind you, not in your way, but as a quiet source of strength. They inspire you to lead yourself. That's a kind of wisdom many successful people understand. In The Godfather, Michael Corleone never revealed everything to everyone. He chose to share only with those who understood the rules of the game. Because in a world where trust can be exploited, choosing the right person to open up to is just as important as choosing the right path to walk. And the truth is, this need doesn't fade with age. It's not just the young who need encouragement or guidance. As we grow older, as our bodies shift, as quiet longings or silent regrets begin to surface, having someone by your side, a confidant who sees you with eyes of both understanding and faith, becomes more vital than ever. Maybe that person is a lifelong friend. Maybe it's your partner. Maybe it's your child, an old colleague, or someone who's walked a path much like yours. They don't need to offer advice all the time. Sometimes their presence is enough. What matters most is that they believe in you, especially when you forget how to believe in yourself. So start today. Take a look around. Who are you sharing your dreams, fears, and hopes with? Do they truly see you? Have they ever faced what you're facing now? And most importantly, do they believe in you? If the answer is yes, hold on to them. If the answer is no, it's time to reconsider who belongs in your inner circle. This journey is hard enough. You don't need to carry the weight of other people's doubts. Let your story be nurtured by belief, heard by those who deserve it, and strengthened by souls who resonate with yours. Because as Denzel has lived, spoken, and proven, you might go fast alone, but with the right people, you'll go far. After learning how to choose the right people to confide in, Denzel took one step deeper into his own growth. He learned the power of silence. In a world this loud, where anyone can post, share, brag, or broadcast, silence has become an act of courage. Not everyone understands that. For many, silence is mistaken for confusion, weakness, or lack of direction. But for Denzel Washington, silence, when it's rooted in strength, is the ultimate expression of freedom. He had seen too many people rush to share plans, broadcast goals, announce dreams, not out of confidence, but out of fear. Fear of failing without anyone knowing they tried. Fear of being judged for staying silent and not succeeding. Fear that if they didn't say it out loud, no one would acknowledge their effort. But fear has never been a reliable path to greatness. Denzel knew this well. When you speak too soon, you might not get encouragement, but you will get judgment. The skeptical looks, the unnecessary opinions, the silent pressure from those who don't really understand you. All of it becomes like a sack of stones on your back, making every step feel heavier than it needs to be. In his career, Denzel often stood at crossroads. Take an easy role that would please the masses, or quietly walk away from the spotlight to pursue stories with real depth and lasting value. He chose the second. He chose to walk in quiet. He chose stillness as the ground where growth could take root, instead of chasing applause that would soon fade. He knew deeply, ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. And that applies to silence too, because speaking out too early can feel like progress, but real progress happens when you keep moving in the dark without needing applause. We often fall into the illusion that if we don't announce, we won't act. But the truth is, when you keep your dream to yourself, you give yourself room to try, to fail, and to learn without the eyes of the world watching. No one mocks you when you fall quietly. No one doubts you when you choose to grow in silence. Remember Rocky Balboa in Rocky II. He didn't boast, didn't taunt, didn't show off. He trained in the stillness of early mornings, ran through empty streets, sweating when no one was watching. And that silence forged a champion. Denzel did the same. He didn't need an audience to keep his inner fire burning. He turned silence into a training ground for the soul, a place to sharpen his mind, refine his craft, and most importantly, listen to himself. For those who have weathered life's storms, especially those over 60, this philosophy hits even deeper. They've seen promises broken, plans abandoned. They understand not everything needs to be said. Some things are best kept in the heart, like seeds waiting quietly for the right time to bloom. And if anyone reading this feels overlooked, caught between speaking or staying silent, unsure whether to share or hold back, let Denzel remind you, don't confuse movement with progress. Just because you're talking, sharing, or announcing doesn't mean you're moving forward. But if you're willing to be patient, silent, and persistent, you're taking steady steps ahead, even if no one sees them yet. Because in the end, light will always find what truly shines, even if it began in the deepest darkness. After everything Denzel has shared, from choosing the right people to walk with to mastering the power of silence, his journey could be distilled into one unwavering truth: action. Simple, but not easy. Because in a world where people talk more than they act, where reputation often precedes results, quiet action has become something rare and profoundly valuable. You see, no one really cares what you say. They care about what you've done. Denzel never needed the noise. He never made loud announcements about upcoming roles, never asked permission to change direction. He didn't brag. He didn't justify. He let the work speak. Let the results speak. And for over 40 years in the industry, he's proven one undeniable truth: silence plus action equals lasting influence. Let your success make the noise. It's not just a catchy quote. It's a way of life Denzel chose to live by. When you keep your plans to yourself, you're not just shielding your dream from doubt or criticism. You're building a safe space for it to grow. Like a gardener, no one digs up the soil every day just to show off the seed. The wise tend to it quietly and wait for the flowers to bloom. Americans once fell in love with the film Field of Dreams, an iconic story about belief and action. In it, there's a legendary line: "If you build it, he will come." No announcements, no convincing, just belief and action. And that is the philosophy Denzel Washington has embodied. He builds value, and success finds its way to him. At an age when many choose to retire, Denzel continues to serve, to create, to walk his path, silently, powerfully, without needing applause. Because he knows, the truly successful aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who endure the longest. And when success finally comes, you don't need to shout, "I did it." Those who doubted you, who turned their backs, who walked away, they'll come back and ask, "How did you do it?" And in that moment, you won't need a speech. You won't need to explain. Just a quiet smile. Because you'll know, the secret was never complicated. You stayed silent. And you acted. Not everyone has the patience to do that. Not everyone has the courage to say no to temporary applause and wait for something greater. But if you've ever doubted yourself, ever hesitated, ever stood at the crossroads of speaking or acting, then maybe this story from Denzel Washington is the message you needed to hear. Success doesn't need to shout. It just needs you to keep walking. And as long as you don't stop, success will find you. No noise, no warning. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Today, we uncovered a powerful lesson. Don't rush to share your story with everyone. Remember, stillness and quiet action are the true keys to long-lasting success. As Denzel Washington once said, "Let your success make the noise." We don't need to boast. We don't need to explain. Just keep going. Just do the work. Thank you for always walking with us. If you have a story of your own, we'd love to hear it. We're always listening and learning. And if you're facing challenges or need more motivation, don't hesitate to reach out. We'll create videos to help you through it. Like, share, and comment to share your thoughts, and subscribe so you never miss the next inspiring story. We're here for you every step of the way. Thank you so much.